A pleasant good evening and a hearty welcome to News Hour. In this edition, asked to take up office, newly appointed ministers and a one-day induction at State House. About 3,000 workers of the Shandong Steel Limited asked for their backlog salaries. And Vice President Dr. Mohamed Julde Jallow says government will implement effective decentralization program. These stories and more plus business and sport news are lined up in this edition of News Hour. With me, Alice Marima Thompson. Stay tuned. In our first news stories tonight, President Julius Maada Bio has called on the newly appointed ministers to be the agents of change that he has been preaching. President Bio made the statement during a one-day induction forum for ministers. Hawa Mose was at State House.
The induction President Julius Maada Bio described is very significant and that they should make sure that they benefit from it because of the confidence he reposed in them to have selected them among millions of Sierra Leoneans. President Bio reminded the minister of his message towards change and that they should be agents of change, which is a necessity in life. The president urged them that to deliver on his government promises, there must be a collective effort on the part of ministers in transforming his policies into action.
The task ahead, as you all know, is huge. The expectations are huge and immediate. We cannot, as a group, afford to really not perform in the face of all that is happening. I have preached change and I've chosen you as agents of change. I think we are where we are as a result of the fact that we have not made the effort as people to change the way we've done things for a very long time. That is why I have said that change is important, change is imperative, change is a necessity in life. I know we can do it. We just have to make the conscious effort. And I am going to lead this process. And I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to push you. We are going to walk, we are going to swim or sink together, but we are not going to sink. Don't let the old ways creep into the way you do things. This is a new direction. It should be the right direction. We have to make the new direction the right direction, which means that it is our attitudes that is going to really make things work.
Secretary to Cabinet and Head of Civil Service, Dr. Julius Sandi, informed the ministers that the induction forum is for ministers to get first-hand information on the requirements of Cabinet ministers coming from different backgrounds with different experiences and expertise. Secretary to Cabinet and Head of Civil Service encouraged those who have been in cabinets before to share their experiences and build on them.
We all come to Cabinet with varying degrees of experiences and expertise. For those who had the experience of sitting in cabinet before now, we'd love to share those experiences with you and to build on them. For those of us who are just coming to the fold, I pray this session becomes a useful and productive engagement for us. Mr. President, Honorable Vice President, Ministers of Government, Cabinet is the highest single unit of state policy decision making. It is the epitome of discipline, sincerity, forthrightness, probity, equity, and civility. Cabinet is created by Section 59 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, Act No. 6 of 1991. The main function of Cabinet is spread out in that same Section 59 of our Constitution. That is to advise President in the government of Sierra Leone. Further than, ladies and gentlemen, Section 61 prescribes additional responsibility for the superintendents of ministries. It states, and I quote, "A minister shall exercise general direction and control over the department, and subject to such directions and control, the department shall be under the general supervision of a permanent secretary who is a public officer."
Adding that those who are just coming to the full, he was sure that the session would be useful to them. Cabinet, Dr. Julius Sandy said, is the highest single state policy decision-making body, and it was created by Section 59 of the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone. SABC TV News Eye in Freetown, Hawa Mosuri reporting.
Vice President Dr. Mohamed Julde Jallow has re-echoed government's determination to demonstrate strong policies towards effective implementation of the decentralization program. He was speaking at the oath-taking ceremony of local councils at the Miata Conference Hall, Brookfields. Thomas Neal reports.
Bear true faith and allegiance
to the Republic of Sierra Leone, and the Western Rural District,
and the Western Area Rural District,
as by law established, and that I will faithfully, and conscientiously discharge my duties as chairman. So help me God. Solemnly swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Sierra Leone and the Freetown Municipality as by law established, and that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge my duties as councillor. So help me God.
This event marks another important milestone in the history of local governance and decentralization in Sierra Leone, as we observe the fourth round of oath-taking by elected officials of the local councils, the second tier of the governance structure, as prescribed by the second schedule of the Local Government Act 2004. Vice President Dr. Mohamed Julde Jallow called on the mayor, chairman and councillors of Western Area Urban and Rural Districts to carry out their functions as specified in the Local Government Act 2004 and other statutory instruments. He said government will continue to create strong supportive policy and regulatory environment for decentralization, managing the relationship between the local councils and the chiefdom administrations, effective management of human resources, and the strengthening of local revenue generation capacities of the local councils. Vice President Dr. Julde Jallow stated that government will leave no stone unturned to ensure that elected officials do justice to the trust and confidence that has been reposed in them.
Let me assure you that under the esteemed leadership of His Excellency the President, coupled with my determination as chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Decentralization, that we are going to do all it takes to support you, to support your work, so that decentralization can become a reality in this country.
The Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Anthony Brewer, said their political leadership is crucial in ensuring that the resources disbursed to local councils are effectively utilized for the benefit of their local people. He assured them that under his leadership, the requisite policy and capacity building support will be provided to ensure that their local councils function smoothly. The Mayor of Freetown, Yvonne Akisoya, assured on behalf of the local councils to deliver on their key campaign promises.
As your elected officials for the Western Area region, because we're going to work together, Western Area Urban and Western Area Rural. As the chairman and myself, at the council level, at the leadership level, we're going to work together. We have one singular aim now, for the people of Freetown. To say thank you in words is fine, but what we want for do? We no want talk thank you no more with we mouths. We want to tell that thank you with we actions.
The chairman of the occasion, Minister of Information and Communications, Mohamed Rahman Swari, said the SLPP government reintroduced decentralization in 2004 to open up the political space, improve participation and inclusion in governance.
We are here today to support you and to help push decentralization forward.
The solemnity of this occasion reminds them about the enormity of the responsibility elected officials have been entrusted. The electorates of their localities have elected them to represent their interests and aspirations, an indication of their confidence and trust in them to lead in bringing them out of poverty. It is their expectation that they will reciprocate this trust and confidence by distinguishing themselves in their new roles and responsibilities. For News Hour in Freetown, Thomas Neal reporting.
Minister of Labour and Social Security Adekunle King has visited the bereaved family of Prince Matthew Levy, who died in the pipe blast at King's Production Limited along Baibure Road. The minister's visit was to assure the family of the ministry's commitment to protecting workers and to remind the company of its promise to the late man's family. Soyoba Samoa reports.
King's Production Company has been in business in Sierra Leone for over a decade. This is the first time that the company has encountered a fatal accident involving one of the workers on duty. The blast left 1 dead and 6 others seriously wounded. After the accident on May 20, 2018, the Ministry of Labour stopped operations of the factory and launched investigations into the cause of the accident. The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Adekunle King, together with the President of the Sierra Leone Labour Congress, Jennings Wright, earlier held a meeting with the management of King's Production Limited. Minister King told management of the factory that he was carrying out orders by President Julius Maada Bio to look into the blast which led to the death of employee Prince Matthew Levy on 20th May 2018. He also took a conducted tour of the facilities of King's Production factory to see how the cylinders were positioned and whether the workers are protected with the right gears. The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Adekunle King, earlier paid a visit to the factory where he saw firsthand the refurbishment made on the cylinders and the relocation of the tanks. The minister then proceeded to the bereaved family's house at Wellington to meet with the family of the deceased and to assure them that government's reserved to protecting the labor force in the country. He told the management that government will not sit by and see Sierra Leoneans suffer in their places of work. At the home of the late Prince Matthew Levy, the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Adekunle King, assured the family that President Bio is concerned about the welfare of the bereaved family.
Julius Maada Bio, I'm not making that commitment to care for the people of Sierra Leone and not going to allow anybody to abuse any Sierra Leonean rights in this country, irrespective of who side that person they promote. Because when I love them and I feel like yes, we don't die, but more so that pain day can be worsened when you wake up in the morning so until you not get bread for it. And remember, say, hey, if that man be day, at least I forget bread for it. So we try and we little way for let we expedite the process day so that the next time we go carry back for can present the compensation package to now.
He urged the management of King's Production to fast-track payment of compensation to the family, as he says the deceased was all his family dependent on.
Muslims all over the world are bracing themselves to welcome the month of Ramadan, which is the month of fasting. According to the Islamic law, Muslims should search for the moon on the 29th of the preceding month, which is Shaban. And if they do not see it on the 29th, they must complete it to the 30th and fast the following day. Well, today is the 29th. Has the moon been sighted? Well, Sheikh Ali Kale is the PRO of the Sierra Leone Muslim Congress, and he is here with us. Good evening and welcome to News Hour.
Good evening, assalamu alaikum, and we wish you a happy Ramadan in advance.
All right, so has the moon been sighted?
No, nowhere in the world, apart from, social media, you just take things just like that and they blow it out of proportion. But in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, all the Muslim countries,
it has not been
seen.
So now that the moon has not been seen, what is the rule?
So today is the 29th of Shaban, tomorrow is the 30th. So Thursday is going to be the 1st of Ramadan, inshallah, which is the 17th of May.
So whether the moon is seen or not tomorrow?
We don't have 31, we have 29 and 30. So today is the 29th, we didn't see it. So finally tomorrow is the 30th. And the moon is over.
And you can confirm that tomorrow is the start of Ramadan?
Yeah, well, say that again?
The start, tomorrow is the day you're going to start?
No, tomorrow is the final day
of
this
I think
month.
That's when you nafla or something like that.
Yeah,
that's tomorrow.
So tomorrow we are going to prepare ourselves. We are going to do the Tarawih prayer, which we call nafila, which is, to prepare our minds, to plan. And we do that. We are going to be doing that every day till the end of Ramadan. Yeah. So
Wednesday is for sure the start of Ramadan of the whole month. Thursday.
Thursday, yeah. Thursday, the 17th of May. Yeah.
So how does let's come to the month. How does one prepare for the month of Ramadan?
Well, you have the spiritual preparedness, which is making the intention that you are going to fast the whole month, and every day you renew that intention by way of preparing yourself, by way of planning, so that you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you going, to give you the halal to eat, to make you keep away from anything that makes your fast invalid. So every day we converge in the mosque, we pray 8 or 10 rakahs. In some countries they do it to 20. For example, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, these big Muslim countries, they pray 20 rakahs every day during the month of Ramadan. And the last 10 days, they double it.
Wow. Now, tomorrow is the day of preparation.
Yes.
So how should one prepare him or herself? Let's say, personally, how does one prepare before the month of Ramadan?
Well, you renew your intention, you make your intention, generally that you are going to fast the whole month of Ramadan. That is the spiritual aspect. And make sure that you have something to eat in the morning, suhoor, and you buy whatever provisions, the foods that fits you, the food that you can eat during the month of Ramadan, you buy them and then you make yourself comfortable.
All right. Now, many Sierra Leoneans, especially Muslims, look forward to the month of Ramadan. How, what do one gain by observing the month of Ramadan?
Well, in the first place, it is one of the pillars of Islam. So by fasting the month of Ramadan, it means you have fulfilled one of the pillars. Okay? And then, secondly, you are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another form this time around, in a way that nobody knows about this worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. I'm fasting, you are fasting, I cannot detect your own, you can't detect mine, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that knows. So this is another form of worship that prepares you to avoid doing things that in a place where people don't see you. You avoid your wife during the day, you avoid your food during the day, you avoid your water during the day. So without anybody watching you, without any policeman around you. So if you adopt this kind of habit during the month of Ramadan, after the month of Ramadan, you should be able to avoid people's wives or people's wives. You should be able to avoid people's food.
Okay, now let me just ask this question. What does one, what destroys one's fast during the month of Ramadan? What can destroy the fast? What
We
can
have
make
so
it
many
unclean?
things. If you eat orally,
Okay.
if you take anything through the mouth, spoils your fast. Using abusive words, as the Prophet ﷺ said, whosoever does not avoid abusive words, quarreling, misbehavior, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not care whether you eat or not during the days of Ramadan, because you are not fasting, you are just starving. So it doesn't mean that when you avoid food and drink and sexual intercourse, you are okay. You must avoid anything that harms other people. You don't use abusive words during the month of Ramadan. Learn to respect yourself, respect others. If someone wants to bring any kind of quarreling to you, you tell that person that I'm fasting. Please, I'm fasting. I'm sorry. If you see that person is insisting, avoid the person. So let's say Ramadan is a month of ceasefire. Yeah, so you avoid anything.
When you say ceasefire, can one go back to what they have been doing or that they stopped doing during Ramadan?
No, during the month of Ramadan? No, after Ramadan, it's like a workshop. We are going now for a workshop. And after the workshop, the month-long workshop, the good things that you have learned must reflect now on your behavior, your daily way of doing things, right? If things work like that, okay, well, your Ramadan worked well. If you go back to all the bad habits that you were doing before the month of Ramadan, it means you were just accompanying people to go to the mosque, just like that. You were just eating with people, but the Ramadan did not do anything positive in your life.
Okay. Now, as a Muslim leader, what would be your message to those preparing for the Ramadan month?
Well, in the first place, let us make sure that the Ramadan is felt. The people around us know that this month is different from other months. Let us avoid anything that angers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let us avoid anything that angers people. Let us pray for our country. Let us show, the good part of Islam to the people. Let us show the world that Islam is not a religion of war. Islam is not terrorism. Islam is about worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be kind to people. Extend the olive branch this time around to others. Even those that are not fasting. When you prepare food dish for them, people that see you, your neighbors, do good things during the month of Ramadan. Keep away from bad things during the month of Ramadan. This is the month of charity. The best time to give charity is the month of Ramadan. So let us make this kind of things felt during the month of Ramadan.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, that was a message to Muslims from Sheikh Ali Khaleh, the PRO of the Sierra Leone Muslim Congress. And you're watching News All Live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Human Rights Defenders Network Sierra Leone has called on government to suspend the implementation of the reviewed non-governmental policy for further consultation with civil society. The reviewed policy, which was hastily approved by previous government, according to the network, would reduce the civic space to hold government responsible. The call was made at a press conference by the network. Princess Gibson was there.
The reviewed non-governmental organization policy, effective January 2018, has been described as draconian and an attempt to clamp down on human rights. Some of the provisions are according to the Executive Secretary Human Rights Defenders Network Sierra Leone Alfonso Gbani, will impose severe restrictions on the right to freedom of expression and association that are guaranteed in the 1991 Constitution. The provisions in the reviewed policy that are considered as limitations include tedious registration and re-registration criteria and policies for NGOs, the signing of agreements with governments to cooperate, bear the risk of these agreements having additional restrict provisions on the scope of activities of NGOs, sanctions to be applied to NGOs for failing to comply with provisions of the policy, suspension and dissolution of organizations are also liable to be criminally prosecuted.
The policy contains erroneous registration and re-registration criteria and policies for NGOs. These include eligibility criteria, registration and renewal of registration guidelines, project registration, funding, taxation and fees and staffing and human resource. For example, Article 2.2.1 institutes a long list of criteria determining whether organizations have the right to operate, including access to the bank account in Sierra Leone in the organization's name with at least 2 signatories and evidence of and committed to access the funds to support the programs. Having at least 5 full/part-time staff, excluding messengers and drivers. Undertaking relevant activities related to reports, work plan and budget with the government of Sierra Leone. Undertaking relevant activities related to reports with other NGOs, beneficiaries and other interested parties if necessary. Having a board of trustees or its equivalent policy, making support body whose constitution is not monopolized by one family group. Providing a summary of overhead direct support to beneficiaries, local/expatriate staff cost, and estimated quantifiable cost of government of Sierra Leone to community contributions to program, etc.
Another provision is a mandatory of a minimum of 70% of all donor funds to be directed to targeted beneficiaries, which could be a check on NGOs, as some organizations do not represent the interest of the people.
The moment you start pegging percentages, you are now dictating to the NGOs that this is what you should do. But all NGOs know that whatever you receive is for your target beneficiaries. So putting percentages undermines the structural operations of the NGOs and civil society. That's the area we are just concerned about. We don't need government to interfere with the structural arrangement of the INGOs and national institutions.
The chairperson, Human Rights Defenders Network, Solomon Sogbandi, said the civic space is important to represent the interests of citizens and hold government responsible. He pointed out that the reviewed policy was hastily approved with less consultations with actual players and called for a second look under the new direction of the current dispensation. However, the Deputy Coordinator, Slango Edward Yoke, said the reviewed document is an outcome of 95% contributions from civil society and NGOs, but that his organization is open to further dialogue on the review of the NGO policy. Princess Gibson, SLBC News.
InvestEd has been declared as the winner of the FinTech Challenge 2017. The FinTech Challenge is part of the Bank of Sierra Leone's broader objective of financial inclusion. Daphne Kema-Macaulay files in this report.
The FinTech Challenge is a financial challenge to bring out innovative ideas and promote financial inclusion. Young Sierra Leonean innovators are encouraged to access about 100 million loans after meeting the set criteria for the challenge by the Bank of Sierra Leone and its partners. 3 groups qualified and were given 6 months to design their ideas. Out of the 3 invested in partnership with Salon Microfinance Trust won the grand prize, which is 750 million loans provided by the United Nations Capital Development Fund.
So we partnered with Invested to address that challenge by being able to provide an app platform by which people using mobile phones will be able to get understanding of basic business management principles and at the same time basic financial education principles, teaching the lessons. Like how do you save, what are the things you require to get a credit, those are the kind of things.
Governor, Bank of Sierra Leone, Dr. Patsy Conte, said the FinTech Challenge was organized by the Bank of Sierra Leone, funded by the UK aid with support from the US aid. He said it is an initiative to digitalize financial transactions and focus on enhancing bank transactions in Sierra Leone.
As well, it started in 2017, and it was called Sierra Leone FinTech Challenge 2017. The first round of 3 winners was announced in November last year in this same venue by this meant to help test designs, buying expert support, and clarify the business ideas they have put together.
Dr. Patsy Conte said Sierra Leone is moving to an appreciable level in the financial inclusion rate published by the World Bank Financial Technology Index, though the country is still faced with challenges. He said 80 chiefdoms in Sierra Leone are without access to proper financial organizations. Deputy Bank Governor, Bank of Sierra Leone, Ibrahim Stevens, said Invested now has the opportunity to develop their products and bring it to the market. The Bank of Sierra Leone also announced the Bank of Sierra Leone Sandbox Framework. The winner will be identified under a controlled environment to take their products to the market. The Sandbox Framework will allow the central bank to monitor Invested during the implementation of the business idea. For SLBC News, Daphne Kimamakoli reporting.
The chairman of the Human Rights Commission has said right to health is a fundamental human right, which should be enjoyed by all. Reverend Dr. Usman Jasifana made the statement while delivering the keynote address on the commemoration of International Nurses Day on the theme, Nurses, a Voice to Lead, Health is a Human Right. The event was held at the School of Midwifery in Masuba, Makeni. Joseph Stanley reports.
International Nurses Day is to commemorate the birthday of the founder of modern nursing, Florence Nightingale, as well as to demonstrate the contributions nurses are making towards healthcare. According to Reverend Dr. Fona, the theme for this year indicates the protection and promotion of human rights, particularly in the health sector. He added that the right to health means that everyone has the right to the highest attainable standards of physical and mental health, which includes access to all medical services, sanitation, adequate food, housing, healthy working conditions, and a clean environment. He also referred to the right to health as fundamental part of our human rights and a dignified life.
It indicates that you have a pivotal role to play in the protection and promotion of human rights, particularly in the health sector. Your level of understanding and acceptance that health is a human right essential for effective and efficient healthcare delivery services. If you are to be leading voices to champion human rights in the health sector, you need to have the right frame of mind and apply the human rights-based approach in your activities.
The chairman said using the human rights-based approach could be an effective method to achieving the highest attainable standards of health for all. Reverend Dr. Usman Fona registered the Human Rights Commission's commitment to ensuring that the right to health is protected and promoted, as well as to partner with the Nurses Association in diverse ways. The president of the Sierra Leone Nurses Association, Senesi Magao, described access to health care as a fundamental human right enshrined in the international treaties and recognized by governments worldwide. He added that nurses have an important role to play in ensuring that health is a human right and urged his colleagues to change the way they serve the public for better improvement in service delivery.
As nurses, our actions and alternatives can therefore determine the extent of patient success to health. Our critical role of control and frustration or facilitation to the patient can cause access to health, which is a basic human right.
He appealed to government for the absorption of nurses to the government payroll, sponsorship for nurses specialties abroad, and promotion for nurses, among others. The Bombale District Health Sister, Josephine Saidu, on behalf of the West African College of Nurses, said this year's theme, Nurses a Voice to Lead, Health is a Human Right, expresses the right of the individuals and families to enjoy quality health care for nurses. In his contribution, the National Organizing Secretary of the Sierra Leone Health Workers Union, Sheikh Mahmoud Sise, called on government to put health issues at the top of its agenda in order to address the difficult challenges nurses faced while performing their duties.
The Mount Zion International Solution Prayer Line Center, based in the United Kingdom, has offered food and non-food items worth millions of loans to the Milton Magai School for the Blind. The organization was founded 4 years ago as a religious and charity center that supports children with special needs and the less privileged. Eva Gisco reports.
The donation of food and non-food items worth millions of loans includes rice, oil, onions, sardines, soap, milk, and Maggi, was through the efforts of Prophet and Prophetess Hashim and Jane Boom Kamara, demonstrating the teaching of loving one another. The country coordinator, Mount Zion International Solution Prayer Line Center in Sierra Leone, Awanatu Bokari, said the donation demonstrates the teaching of loving one another. She added that children are special in the sight of God Almighty and that the center believes in education for children with special needs. She noted that the Mount Zion International Solution Prayer Line Center is a global platform established 4 years ago in promoting God's work among young people.
We also engage in outreach, like how we can talk today, for can show love and respect. So we love the beginning, we brother and we sister them, because they're very important. Una very important, una very special. So the prophet Hashim, in wife, Prophetess Jane Boom Kamara with the entire team, they say love to una. They say they regard to una. Then when they make una no say, then they with una. Then they member una. That's why they all the way in England, some they America, some they Australia, some they Holland, different sides. But the one they no say, one important thing, what Jesus Christ they teach in disciple them, now for show love to fellow mortal man.
A member of the charity and father of the prophetess, Andrew Pesima, said he is very proud of his children, Prophet and Prophetess Hashim and Jane Boom Kamara, for establishing a charity organization that seeks the interests of blind children, noting that this is the beginning as there is more support for the school.
I'm even prouder of he and Iman for thinking of this institution first, because we feel coming to your aid, coming to render help, coming to identify ourselves with their disability goes a very long way. I want to tell una say this is just the beginning of something more to come, and we will take audio and video messages and send them to them to make them go see the work where Hawanatu and Intimdom do for foster the ministry where they don't establish.
The head teacher, Minty Magai School for the Blind, Sally Utue, appreciated the donation, describing it as timely and useful to the children. The school is said has a boarding home and that with their assistance, they have touched many lives.
So with your help, with your assistance, believe me, you have made and have touched many lives. And with that, you are helping society, particularly with children of the school, to be serious in their studies and become useful and responsible people.
Well, let's now take a pause on the menu stars and John Mohammed King Milan Bangura for what's happening in the entertainment world.
Psalm 98 verse 4 says, "Shout joyfully to the Lord all the earth. Break forth and sing for joy and sing praises." That's the ideology of Sierra Leonean gospel female singer Sister Sia Prosper Komba grew up with in praising the Lord. Sister Sia was born in Kono, Sando Chiefdom, Koima, where she went to school as a kid before continued at the Freetown Secondary School for Girls in Freetown. Sia said her love for music came since she was a kid, when she was a member of the United God is Alive Church choir group. As she grew older, she became a member of the secular music group called Lamles, and they released popular hit songs, including the hit song This Year. Sister Sia had now finished her first gospel album titled God Will Fight My Battle. This album will be launched on the 23rd of June at the United God is Alive Church, Coca Lane off Main Street.
God fight my battle, we say, Papa God no more, na able for fight the battle. Any kind of way you turn and Creole, Limba, so, now God no more able for fight your battle. Nobody else able for fight your battle. A lot of things can they happen. Boku thing they happen. Before you decide for go to Morimo, you decide for go do any other thing. I believe say if you focus onto the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, when I no more able for do it can fight the battle. I give me album title, God Fight My
She
Battle.
promised to entertain gospel music lovers on that day, but asked what inspired her in composing songs.
Well, like this, nobody know they like you are doing a worship. At the inside church, we they do a waiting. So like then they sing, I just butu na chair. I don't know waiting come on me. I begin sing to myself. I don't flow with waiting the choir and they sing. I begin flow, just a flow to myself. That nobody know they like you. Nobody know feel by you, nobody know sound like you. Nobody know they papa. Nobody know feel by you. Nobody.
She said her launch will be one of a kind, and it will be a live musical band performance, and various gospel musicians will be in attendance to grace the show. Sister Sia said that the public would be opportuned to get the album immediately after the launching. Mohamed Ba, popularly known as Mano River, is a Sierra Leonean musician and a philanthropist based in Berlin, Germany. Mohamed was born in Makeni, where he grew up and went to school before he left for Germany as a refugee in 1998 because of the rebel war. In Germany, he got involved in music. He said he became so popular around Berlin in Germany and was opportune to meet with the mayor of Berlin. He was given the opportunity to perform in an annual musical festival in Germany, flying the country's green, white and blue flag high. Mohamed Ba was also instrumental in bringing together citizens from the Mano River Union countries that are based in Germany. His idea of bringing them together was to help building the good relationship and love between the member countries. He was so passionate in setting up the Mano River Group in Germany, and he brought in other non-Mano River countries to help push his ideology.
It's very important for make we get other people on board from like things they go before.
Those countries that we bring on board.
Senegal,
Okay.
Cameroon, Burkina Faso, the Gambia, Cote d'Ivoire, France, Germany, Russia, how you call this, Australia.
Okay, all of them they under the Mano
I bring
River
them all inside.
And they all aim and objective now for work hard and
before them they come, we don't write the constitution. Now for bring them three countries out together, let them forget the problem the way don't happen now. Let them remember say, Papa them don't work for we hard for now be together.
The Mano River Group has done so great in helping the Mano River countries by distributing various items such as used clothing, tailoring machines, and computers. Mohammed is in town with other initiatives in establishing a new group called Dental Gorka Suzu Dempolo that is geared to bring in the Fula communities together with members from 49 countries worldwide. On his musical career, Mohammed said he will soon release his new album titled Come Back. He also assured Sierra Leoneans that Sierra Leone is finally peaceful and that diasporans are now ready to come back home.
Already for work now, and not only one, beaucoup people around the world they want to come because they feel now more secure and they feel now say also now the time for come home because finally they don't say finally we get business alone. If they go from APC to SLPP, from SLPP to APC, from APC again to SLPP, this time all man believes say now we don't get final peace na salon.
And from the entertainment desk, we go over to sports where we join Esther Marie Zamora.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Updates on News Hour. I am Esther Marie Zamora. In this edition, British number 1 Kelly Edmond continued in his 5-run form with a hard and round 1 win over Malik Jazzy at the Italian Open. The world number 19 saved breakpoint in his opening service game but beat the Tunisian 6-3, 6-3. Edmond moved inside the world's top 20 for the first time on Monday after reaching the quarterfinals of last week's Madrid Open. He now faced either Lucas or Andres in round 2 in Rome. We now bring you highlights of the match.
Oh, that is world class. Bludgeoning his way through Novak early on.
Well, I love the change of pace. Started the rally with height and spin, and then once he got control.
Oh, way to pounce. Shots like that are worth the admission fee on their own.
He drove right through the line of this backhand.
He's done it for the first time in his career. He beats Novak Djokovic.
And indeed, that was the British number 1, Kelly Edmond. and 10 athletes and a coach who went missing during the Commonwealth Games faced deportation from Australia. The group includes 8 athletes from Cameroon, 2 from Uganda, and a Rwanda para lifting coach. The 8 Cameroon athletes, 3 weightlifters and 5 boxers, comprise a third of their 24 athletes delegation. Cameroon team officials confirmed they were last seen at different times on 9th and 10th April 2018. And also the visa of the delegation that left Sierra Leone for the Commonwealth Games has expired midday today. According to reports, many out of the 47-man delegation, including officials, athletes and journalists, have absconded following the end of the Commonwealth Games in Australia last month. Local media reports in Australia suggest that the immigration officials are looking for the athletes to return them to Sierra Leone, as members from the National Olympic Committee and the ministry have refused to talk to SMBC Sport Desk. That's the latest update in sport. I am Esther Maisamoa. Thanks for watching.
And from the sport desk, we continue with the main news stories. The ambassador of the Kingdom of Morocco to Sierra Leone, Driss Isbayene, has called on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Ali Kaba. The two men discussed ways of strengthening the cordial bilateral ties between Morocco and Sierra Leone. Hawanatu Bangura reports.
The Moroccan ambassador, Driss Isbayene, spoke about his country's intervention in agriculture, how to achieve the free education scheme, tourism, economy, as well as the people-to-people relations.
To congratulate the people of Sierra Leone of this democratically election that is can be proud for Sierra Leone, and to congratulate also the new government and you also when you will be wishing, and to reiterate our support for the new government you also and to reiterate our readiness to enhance cooperation with you.
Dr. Ali Kaba assured him of the full support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, both at bilateral and multilateral levels. As he said, diplomacy starts with friendship.
So we are looking forward to deepening and strengthening bilateral ties with Morocco. We know that Morocco has really stepped up to be part of the African family. And that is why we welcome the decision to join the AU. But we know that historically, Morocco always played a leading role in the African liberation struggle from the beginning. And there are many countries they would say that it was the Moroccan support that actually helped them in the beginning when they were fighting for their independence.
Thank you.
I'm the High Commissioner for Canada.
Yes.
Thank you.
Also, the High Commissioner of Canada to Sierra Leone, Madame Heather Cameroon, called on the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Ali Kaba, at his Star Hill office in Freetown. According to Madame Cameroon, her visit to Sierra Leone is to enhance the long-standing relationship between Canada and Sierra Leone, which will be revitalized. The Canadian High Commissioner said she was pleased to witness the inauguration ceremony in Sierra Leone.
We have a long-standing relationship, and I think although we're not resident, one that is close and significant. Of course, we're most closely connected not only through the support during the period of the war, but also more recently, we're coming up to 10 years of chairing the Sierra Leone configuration at the Peace Building Commission.
Yes.
And I think that diplomatic partnership over nearly a decade has really helped to solidify the relationship between the two countries for the benefit of Sierra Leone and for the benefit of
Madam Issa Cameroon emphasized our government's continuous support to Sierra Leone. She informed the minister that Canada is planning to help boost Sierra Leone's health sector. Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Ali Kaba, welcomed the High Commissioner of Canada to Sierra Leone and assured her of the full support of the government.
What the President has said to us over and over again is that we should be guided by the principles of disciplined leadership, professionalism, and delivery. That is delivery. The people voted for us because they saw in us, the prospect of a great opportunity, and we are prosperity for people. So we are focused on delivery, and we want our development partners to know that they'll find in us willing friends, leaders who want to make a difference.
The minister said this is the best time for the international community, which he described as friends, to listen keenly to the direction of the new government. In another engagement, a special envoy from the Kingdom of Belgium, led by the Director of Sub-Saharan Africa, Joseph Smets, also called on the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He said they are in the country to contribute to Sierra Leone's development drive as the country is moving with the rule of law and democracy. He pledged their support to work with the new government. The minister spoke of his government's plan to instill professionalism, development, and service delivery. Dr. Kaba informed the envoy that they will ensure that people have trust in governance. He said he is happy that Belgium has had strategic relationship with Sierra Leone. Meanwhile, a cross-section of members of the diaspora of the Sierra Leone People's Party held discussions with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Dr. Kaba described them as an integral part of the new direction, noting that the ministry is a gateway for those who want to contribute meaningfully to the country's development. SABC TV News, Awanatu Bangura reporting.
Well, with that item, News Hour comes to a close, but before we go, a quick look at the top stories. As they take up office, newly appointed ministers have ended a one-day induction at State House. Vice President Dr. Mohamed Julde Jallow has said government will implement effective decentralization program. And Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has received envoys from Morocco, Canada, and Belgium. Well, that's all in this edition of News Hour broadcast live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. On behalf of my news editor, Asma Uba, and the team tonight, I am Alice Mariama Thompson, wishing you a perfect night, nurse. Thanks for your time. Keep watching the SLBC.